Michigan is headed to Houston after taking down Alabama in overtime in the Rose Bowl, slaying the Dragon. I'm not talking about Bama. I'm talking about the personal Dragon for Michigan, going 0-2 the last 2 years in the playoff. Third time's the charm. They're headed to the Natty. Final score 27-20. This is big time. This is big time. How do they get it done? We'll talk about that, Michigan fans. I just told you, your team is going to the national championship game. Make sure you're subscribed. We're going to be in Houston for the game. As we're recording this right now, the Sugar Bowl is going on in the other room. About to go watch it in the office after we record this video. But make sure you're dialed in here. We'll have coverage the entire week for you. The entire weekend, rather, leading into that game. Don't want you to miss a minute of it. Also, subscribe to this channel, but also follow me on Instagram and on Twitter at JDPiquel. So let's be real about this thing now. This was a heavyweight bout. Both sides of this operation throwing haymakers for the duration of 4 quarters. Michigan took a few punches early on in this game, but I loved the plan that Michigan took in this game. I loved the way they approached this thing. First, Michigan went right after Jalen Milroe. Sometimes you have a superhuman on the other side of the field playing quarterback, and your tendency is to be hesitant, try and cast a wide net, try and sort of shadow his movements and spy him. Michigan's like, listen, brother, we're coming with stunts, and we're going to get after you all game long. Early on, had a lot of success with that. Offensively for Michigan, we knew they were going to be a team that was going to try and run the football. It's what they've been all year long. But Alabama just stuck in man coverage pretty much for the duration of the game. I understand they switched up a little bit, but especially in that first half, you had Alabama sitting in man coverage and trying to force the issue up front. So J.J. McCarthy, just efficient, sits back there. They dial up a lot of crossing routes, which just from a geometry standpoint, it's hard to run with another human being that's an elite athlete like Michigan has at the wide receiver position. Running across the field with you, had a lot of those come up and for them. J.J. McCarthy, 17 for 27, 221 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Obviously, that was good enough to get it done. And they just kept swinging, man. They just kept swinging in this game. Because there was, again, like I said, there was a thought, I think, going into this game that people weren't sure what to make of what Michigan had done during the year. Now, they played Ohio State. Ohio State, really good football team, but then people probably felt a certain way about Ohio State after the Missouri game. People felt a certain way about Penn State after the Ole Miss game that we just saw them play. And so there was sort of this thought like, hey, what do we make of the resume from Michigan? Well, in this game, clearly, you can think whatever you want about the resume, but you think about Michigan as one of the best teams in the country. Period, mic drop, the end. And again, they took some punches early. Alabama was getting a really good push up front running the football. Alabama, they outrushed Michigan in this game. A big storyline you heard from a lot of different people saying, well, if whoever outrushes or whoever rushes for the most yards on the ground, that's the winner in the football game. That was not Michigan. So clearly that was not the case. Michigan was about as sloppy as you can be on the special team side of things. Still found a way to get it done. The terrifying thing here, I think, for the rest of the college football world is Michigan played nowhere near their best football game. Nowhere near. Got outrushed, played bad on special teams, had a couple of penalties that I think are un-Michigan-like, to be honest with you. Like this was nowhere near Michigan's best performance, and still found a way to beat one of the most dynamic athletes in college football, one of the most dynamic quarterbacks in college football, and the greatest coach of all time in Nick Saban, in a really talented Alabama team. Make no mistake about it. That's not just some run-of-the-mill average Bama team. That Alabama team deserved to be there. Made up of a lot of 5-stars. I know what the narrative was about them going into the season around the Texas game, but that's a really good Alabama football team. I'm not so sure we didn't just watch the national championship game happen in the Rose Bowl. We'll see what happens there. I'm not calling my shot. I'm just saying that was a game that was worth a national title kind of billing. Now, the question during the week was, hey, what makes this Michigan team different than teams of the past? Because Michigan, they've been to the college football playoff 2 years in a row. Why should we expect anything different from Michigan in this football game? And I think we got our answer very definitively about what made this Michigan team different on that final drive. Hey, you need a touchdown. 13-20, you need a drive here. Can you get it done? I think old Michigan would have felt a little bit of anxiety, maybe had a little bit more rapid breathing. That was not what I saw when that team took the field. Just very businesslike, marched length of the field. J.J. McCarthy gets it going with his legs, hits Roman Wilson for a big shot downfield, and then hits Roman Wilson to get into the end zone later in the game. This team, no matter the moment, Overtime, that last drive, zero worries. Zero worries throughout the course of this game. Very fitting that Blake Corum was the guy to punch it into for Michigan. Very, very fitting. There was no wishing. There was no hoping. There was no, like, I think we're good enough. It was like, we know what we're about here. We're going to go ahead and give it to you, all business on this drive. How validating does this have to feel if you're Michigan? To have the monkey off your back, to have the third time be the charm, and to finally, after all the things that were said about Michigan during the course of the year, Jim Harbaugh gets suspended the first 3 games. And then you have the final 3 games without Jim Harbaugh, and you have a bunch of noise around you, a bunch of pressure on you that if you dropped any one of those games, right or wrong, you understand the storyline would have been, well, Michigan was only this kind of caliber of team because of Connor Stallions, because of the sign-stealing stuff. I'll tell you this right now, those sign-stealing jokes, there's a reason why we see a lot less of those on the internet right now, because they're aging poorly, because quite frankly, there is nothing more you can say about Michigan. Nothing. There's no more punchline you can make about Jim Harbaugh going to the NFL and anything about the sign stealing. Like, it's the proof is in the pudding, man. They have made their way to Houston. They've earned their right for that title fight. So what happens in Houston is going to happen in Houston. But I think you just have to feel so much like, how do you like me now if you're Michigan? What else you got to say? Because at the end of the day, outside of one team, we'll find out who that one team is here in a second. You got to watch us do our thing come Monday night. You don't get to play us. You don't get to line it up and try and make your case against us. You got to watch us. So whatever you have to say, you got to say it from the comfort of your own home and let us know about it after the game. So again, Michigan headed to Houston. Happy for Jim Harbaugh, man. Happy for this operation to overcome that adversity, all the external noise, hunker down, prove a point, drop the mic, and the granddaddy of them all. Michigan headed to the national championship game. Again, we will have coverage for you on location. We'll be in Houston. So if you're going to H-Town, let us know, and we'll see y'all there. And like I said, if you want to be a part of all that coverage, make sure you're subscribed. Follow me on Instagram and on Twitter at JD Piquel. We'll have a ton of extra content for you right there, including now some player props for this national title game that we like, as well as some prize picks. All right? Appreciate y'all. Love y'all. Going to keep this party rolling, and we will see y'all next time. Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.